Good morning, students. Tudes meaning. We have actually completed the syllabus contents. We were actually looking at some questions from papers, and I have given you some new set of questions for us to go through. We will not be able to complete the entire thing, but we will focus on the important ones. Right? So then, so have you started studying, or what? How do you feel it now when you go through the past papers and all? So basically, syllabus contents we have covered, but only when you go through the past papers, you will realize that there are some repetitive questions. Questions are repeated most of the time, some question. So basically, it is worthwhile for you to do the past papers. And now these questions actually I have taken from several examination papers. Some questions taken from financial market operation, which is more relevant or more interconnected subject to your investment banking. So there are some questions straight away they have applied to your exam from this exam. So it's worthwhile for us to do some questions because the syllabus contents are almost similar. There are some differences, but a lot of syllabus contents are similar in both the syllabus, both the subject, right? So so before we start this, I wanted to do a question from your 2019 September paper. 2019 September paper, investment banking. And the question number that is question number 2. These days, actually, now people are 2019 September. Question number it's 2. Question number two. The private equity question, right? Private equity question. So shall we read this question? Private equity is an asset class which comes under alternative investments and includes funds which invest in equities that are not quoted on the stock market. So the examiner asks you identify and define the two broad types of private equity firms. So basically, private equity firms are the firms which are not registered, which they don't have much capital to initiate the product business and everything. So the private equity means basically, so you privately similar to private placement. So when you issue shares, when you issue debentures, if it is a private placement, then you privately negotiate with the other counterpart. Shares also the similar, debenture also similar. You are not inviting everybody to come to and participate. You're not inviting everybody to come and participate. So generally you select selected crowd only. You personally go and visit it, you personally negotiate with them to participate this, whatever the instrument you issue. Now, private equity is also very similar. There are methods. There are companies who have the idea to generate whatever the product, but they don't have capital. So then basically you provide the capital. So that is venture capital. So very similar to venture capital, private equity firms are also the similar. Private equity firms. So generally, private equity firms, we call it venture capital companies. Venture capital are very similar, but they have the idea, but they don't have capital to initiate. So generally you provide the capital. Now, example is now somebody can provide a loan as capital, or somebody can provide the equity participation. Now, for example, now there is a company. There is a company, they need to grow, they need to produce whatever the product they initiated. So you can ask for a loan from somebody, bank loan as capital. Or otherwise you can ask bank to participate in capital, shareholding. So the bank is giving capital, but not as a lender, but as a shareholder. So that can be done. So generally now, not recently, but last year or before, government has introduced a new board for this, Empower Board. I have given you a note on that. Empower Board basically to help SME sector to come up. So SME people, they don't have much capital. They don't have expertise how to do this. So generally you sponsor them. Generally you support them initially, then you stage by stage you quit. You basically remove shareholding, giving the full opportunity, full control to the SME sector. So basically you provide all the expertise, all the whatever the technological support, everything. You treat as a sponsor under that Empower Board. Right? There was a question on the exam, sponsors. And who is the person who provide all this expertise, support the SME sector is sponsor. Right? There are some listing requirement for you to be listed in Empower Board. I have given all these notes. Please go through this. And recently they have introduced REIT, a real estate investment trust. I'll give you a note on that, small note. I will upload that note to you all, right? REIT. There can be a question on that for 2-mark question, the meaning of REIT and all that. I'll give you note on that. Now, private equity is that venture capital, basically venture capital firms, right? The capital equity and the buyout firm, right? Large finance, they don't actually, as the finance, they need finance. Finance is the main thing for private equity firms. So why they, now see, so what is the other one? Opposite side, private equity is IPO, going for a public. But here private equity. Now there are private firms in Sri Lanka, a lot of private firms in Sri Lanka. So the main problem for having faced by them is capital. They don't have much capital. They don't have access to the market and all, right? So very important to have capital for your expansion. You need capital for the expansion. Now, what is the difference between capital and the loan? What is the difference between capital and the loan? Examiner has tested this kind of question in different forms many times. Now, if you put capital, the compensation you get is what? Dividend. You treat as a shareholder. You are one of the owners if you put capital. But if you are giving loans, you treat as a liability, lender. You are outside of the company. You don't have anything, but you will be receiving as a compensation interest income. From the investor side, it's an income. From the company side, it's a expense, right? So that is the thing. Now, when you say loan, it can be, examiner can ask you what is the difference between, what is the difference or advantages putting capital or debt capital. It can be many terms, many forms, right? Equity and debt. So this is important. And from the company side also there are some advantages. Main advantage is tax. You're putting capital as a liability or a loan, right? And the cost of equity is higher than cost of debt. So all these things we learn in the class interconnected to this question. Someone can ask you many forms, right? So please go through everything what we have given in the class notes, right? So the generally we call it buyout firms, but the main thing is main form of the private equity is venture capital. So the second question is state 5 risks associated with the investing in private equity firms. So when you privately negotiate with somebody, do you now see when you have a question like this, you should always compare with a private company with the public liability company which is listed. Then you will be having the answer. So what are the advantages being listed? So we have discussed in the class. Very much transparent. You have the access to capital, compliance, corporate governance are there, transparent, everything. So people, reputation, everything. But those things don't have when you invest in private equity firms. Now, when a company is listed, there is the policy to have the dividend as well. So you can't refrain from paying dividend. You have to make dividend. You have to pay dividend. There are some restrictions. There are some regulations. So, but under private equity, you don't have such regulations. So privately you arrange it. Right? So generally, private equity firms initially they go as private, but later stage they will issue a IPO. So that is the mechanism. Initially they start with this company. When the company goes, they will have the intention. So they will basically go for a listing. So that is the mechanism. So then everybody invite other people to participate in the capital. But when you want to invest particular firm, you should be able to, you basically have the fair knowledge of this particular company. Account should be published. So you must make profits. Otherwise, we won't invest in this particular company. So loss-making company, do you invest? You don't. But if the company is performing well initially with this private equity firm, so then if the company is performing well, then the people get to know, oh, this company is performing well, then you have a chance to be listed. So that is the mechanism generally applied for this venture capital and the private equity firms. So there are a lot of risk involving in investing in private equity companies. So then once you know that when you list in the share market, you can always sell the shares and your return is guaranteed. So what are the return you are getting by investing in shares? Generally, one thing is capital gain. The other one is dividend. So the both things are very much there. So important thing is, so transparent is not there. So when you can convert now, this risk is transparent is not there. Corporate governance is not there. What do you call this? Expert management is not there. Illiquid shares, a lot of things. So you can think and write. You always think when you get a question like this, you think from a listed company and the other company. So same question can be asked like this: what is the difference between private company and the listed company? Same thing. Same thing. And the other question: state 2 factors emphasizing the importance of due diligence on private equity. Now, due diligence we have learned in this class. So what do you mean by due diligence? Due diligence is what? It's a diagnosis test. So you study everything about the company, right? You basically study everything about the company. So the question is, the emphasizing the importance of due diligence, very much important due diligence. Now see, when you want to buy shares, newly issued company, going for IPO, so all the informations are available. Through what? So generally, when a company is going for IPO, they print a book. We call it prospectus. Yeah, the prospectus contains everything about the company. everything about A to Z, everything. So basically, by reading the prospectus, any prospective investor can make a decision whether I'll be investing in this particular company or not. Why? All the information available. But see the private companies which are not listed, which are not public, you don't have very much information. They can hide it. So their main purpose may be to get the capital. So due diligence is very much important for a investment in private equity firms or which are not listed. So now see, now due diligence examiner tested in a different way, but the same thing. Now state two factors emphasizing the importance of due diligence. A question you should have the answer not interconnected to this private equity. So same question. Can ask you in different ways, right? Now identify and I described two exit routes available for private equity firms to return to the funds to invest. Generally, I told you as initially I told you, now you invest in particular private equity firm, then later you exit. That is the mechanism. Why? You are giving help to come out this idea, come out with this idea, come out this production for this particular company. So basically, you provide the capital, you start the business, and later you exit from the business, giving the other partners or being listed and participate to the other market to participate. So basically, what are the exit mechanism you have? Well, you can list it. So you can have the initial public offering. So otherwise, we have learned, remember that you to be without inviting public, you have many methods to be listed. You have many interaction. You don't have capital, you don't need money, but you need to have a listing. Why? There are many advantages being listed. Right? Sometimes you don't need any capital. You don't need any capital from the public. But being listed, you have many advantages. Transparent corporate governance, reputation, legally you are binded, transparent. So then everybody has the confidence to invest in this particular company. You know everything, and it is compulsory company to disclose everything material, and which are price sensitive information. Price sensitive information is very much important. Now you must have seen every market day, meaning after a closure of share market, generally almost all the companies publish their price sensitive information, which are important for others to make decisions. Now, for example, directors buying shares, important for us to know. Why? What does the directors do? It can be sometimes either insider trading. So you only get to know this information as directors, you purchase shares. We should know as shareholders, outside shareholders, we don't get that information. So then you disclose. Then we get to know may shareholder, okay, this shareholder has bought this much of shares. So everything is transparent. So you can't have idling, you can't avoid anything once you become listed companies, right? So then listing is very much important for others to make decision on investments, right? And you can use, if you don't want money, if you want money from the public, you can go for either IPO. Otherwise, you can adopt one of the methods we have discussed previously. Introduction is the one of the important methods. You don't want capital, but you need listing. So you can go for the introduction line, right? So very important question. This why these days this new government is increasingly talking about these private equity firms. Why? So they need to have local market creation rather than depending on the more importation. So basically, when you start a business, it's a new business, the main problem is the capital. You don't have capital, but if you provide the capital, then basically you have the idea to grow. So the private equity question is very much, private equity question and the venture capital question is very much similar, right? There is no difference, only the name difference. Private equity and private equity and the venture capital firms. That is, please go through this question. Is a very important question. So you can ask examiner, test you. I have the note with REIT. That is real. REIT means real estate investment trust. I'll upload that small note to you all for you all to go through. Right. I will give this to these people, and I want to do one question with you all. Any problem areas you have at the moment while you study? Now this question paper start from September 2015. Now these are the questions I have taken from the other exam. Zero coupon treasury notes. Now see the first question. Zero coupon treasury notes. Zero coupon. There is no coupon. What is the coupon? So generally when you issue debenture, we have a coupon. It can be either fixed, it can be either floating. Fixed or floating. Floating is based on what? What do you mean by floating? Generally we go by the treasury bill rate, 6-month treasury bill. It can be either 1 year, but it changes. Floating, variable. Frequency of the change, it is up to the issuer. It depends. Fixed means fixed for the term. Fixed. A fixed rate it can be either 1 year. Initially. Annually 10. 10. But if it is variable, 1 year variable, not 1 year treasury bill rate plus whatever the margin. So may give you next year. So it can change. When the treasury bill rate changes, it can change. That is variable, right? Now SLDB, that is dollar denominated instrument, also similar. Variable instrument or fixed instrument. Variable rate going by what? Now example is treasury bill, the debenture, it can be variable reference rate. We call it the reference rate. Reference rate plus margin. Reference rate, it can be either treasury bill rate. 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, you can have it. Or I can remember HDFC Bank has selected AWPLR, average prime lending rate plus margin. 6 month average AWPLR plus margin. You can have it. But if it is SLDB, what? Which rate you go by? What is the reference rate? The examiner ask you. SLDB is what is the denominator? Is it rupee or dollar? Dollar. So if it is dollar, variable rate is what? LIBOR. Right? London Interbank Offer Rate. Now remember, 2021 December, LIBOR is no more with us. By 2021, LIBOR. So we have a alternative mechanism, but at the moment, examiner will not test you what is the alternative method, but alternative methods can US it's separate rate. GBP separate, Euro separate. Now the LIBOR, if you say LIBOR is applicable to dollar, any currency. Dollar, Euro, CHF, everything you have LIBOR. Right? But basically LIBOR is published by one particular institution at the moment. But once we have the LIBOR finish, by 2021 December, you will have separate names. Now, for example, US you will be having Sonia, so far. So the UK you will be having Sonia like that, right? So structured overnight interest rate like that. So separate currencies, separate loans. But what do you mean by zero coupon? There is no coupon. What's the instrument we have learned for zero coupon? One instrument is treasury bill. There is no coupon. And the other one is commercial paper. Now, those two answers are not here. So then how do you track the answer? Now, what do you mean by clean price? Remember that we have learned clean price and dirty price. So generally, when you are asked to calculate the bond pricing, generally we get what? Dirty price. Dirty price means clean price plus accrued interest. So how do you find out the accrued interest? How do you find out the clean price? How do you find out the dirty price? We have learned in this class, right? We have done some calculation, which is also examiner has not tested. Terms also not tested. Please go through these notes, right? Discount bond means what? Now treasury bill is what? Treasury bill is a discounted instrument. Premium bonds. So when you, now generally we in Sri Lanka, we have nominal value is 100. Anything above we call it premium, anything below we call it discount. So generally, so you premium bonds mean if you purchase a bond at 110, that is a premium bond. But now when you remember that, I just remember that when you calculate the treasury bond, end of the maturity or end of the period, how much you will be getting? Only 100. But how much you spend to purchase this bond? 110. Today you spend 110, but on the maturity you will be getting 100. So somebody can think, so it's a capital loss. Why do you want to buy this particular bond? You spend 110, but remember that when you do a calculation, treasury bond, on the maturity we are getting coupon plus face value. Coupon plus face value. Face value is, we have learned always it's 100 in Sri Lanka. So you will be getting 100 only, but how much you have paid? 110. So is it worthwhile for you to buy? Sometimes you think no, but it is sometimes. Based on the yield, you can say, no, this bond is worthwhile for me to buy. So based on the yield gives more, compensate with this capital loss as well. So premium bonds, anything you purchase above 110, 100. Inflation index bond is what? That is a variable bond. Variable bond. So based on the inflation, you change it. 6 month inflation. So after 6 month time, there will be a change, or whatever the regular particular period, depending on the inflation rate, bond income, bond rate can be changed. So the yield or a coupon rate is linked to what? Inflation. That's the meaning. So generally answer is discounted bonds. So because discounted instrument we have learned is treasury bill. Zero coupon is treasury bill. That's how you answer, right? So I want to do this question. Question number 4. What is the yield on a bond? Coupon, payment, semi-annual, paid. Everybody has this question paper, right? So what this question? Now see. Now question is, what is the yield on a bond with 7% coupon? 7% coupon. 7% coupon means always per annum, right? Here semi-annual. අවුරුද්දට 7යි. අවුරුද්දට දෙපාරක් ගෙවනවා. අවුරුද්දටම 7යි ගෙවන්නේ. ඒක 3.5 ගන්න දෙපාරක් ගෙවනවා. That's what it means, right? 7% is always annual. So the examiner asks you, now this can come for 2 mark question, right? What is the yield on a bond with 7% coupon payment, semi-annual, price at par. Why price at par? Par means what? Even the examiner doesn't tell you, we know it's 100 in Sri Lanka. It's a par value. If the examiner gives you market value, you have to always take market value. Remember when we're doing a weighted average cost of capital? Back. We have what? Equity. Then we have debt. So we have calculated based on the capital, remember? And we have taken this as a market value only. You basically take the capital percentage as market. I have given you a question on that, right? Market value you have to take. If the examiner does not give any market value, you take the nominal value. So here examiner tells you this is the price at par. So what is the yield on a bond? 7%. So annual 7%. So the annual 7%. So the annual 7%. So the semi-annual you will be paying to 3.5. Yield is basically annual. So the question answer is 7 divided by here 100. Why? Examiner tells you specifically you take the par value. Answer is 7%. It's a very simple, very easy question. Examiners, now the students have mentioned 3.5 divided by 100, which is wrong. Semi-annual, you always go yield per annum. Per annum, right? Per annum, right? Answer 7%. Now, what is meant by mandatory offer? This was tested previously as well. So these days, now you know, market is going up. Share market is going up. So basically, I have given you indices about the indices. There are two indices, ASI and S&P. So we have two indices in share market, and we have discussed the main board, Dirisavi board, Empower board, MCB board, and I'll be giving a note on this REIT as well, right? Real estate REIT or REIT. Real estate investment trust. Basically, this is property developer. Shares again, you will be having property. Property means the idang wagyu, right? Then you can purchase these units. Purchase this. You can have this. So the development purpose of this property. Right? And this is a very common concept in other countries, right? Especially in Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, very common. Now, question number 2. Government securities market in Sri Lanka facilitates raising funds to meet government's cash flow deficits, short to long term, and securities of different maturities are offered accordingly. Now, briefly explain two types of government securities denominated in rupee issued. So, what are the two types of government securities? One is treasury bill, the other one is treasury bond. If the examiner asks you US dollar, SLDB. That is local. If it is outside Sri Lanka, that is ISB. International sovereign bond. Sri Lankans cannot. Only the foreigners can participate ISB, right? The main thing is to bring it to Sri Lanka. The dollars coming to Sri Lanka. Okay. And what are the structural differences between the two types of securities that you know? Short term, long term, coupon involving, there is no coupon for treasury bill. Treasury bill, everything will go off 3, 6, 12. Treasury bonds long term. And dirty price, clean price not involved in treasury bill. Discounted instrument, interest is paid upfront. All these things are relevant to treasury bill. All these are relevant to treasury bill. Right? So outline the primary market issuance mechanism that we know. Primary market, how do you do? You get generally what? You publish a advertisement every Sunday, Monday, for treasury bill. Treasury bond, of course, it's regular. There is no regular thing, right? Now, treasury bill is a weekly auction. You have weekly auction. Every week you have. Every Wednesday you have auction, right? So then, then you have given a separate primary dealers only can be participated, right? We have 10 primary dealers at the moment. Primary dealers can be participated at the auction. So that they are 3, 6, 12, 3, 6, 12. 3 months, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. So then you have 1,000, we say 1,000, here 1,000, we say here 2,000. So there's a minimum requirement for you to bid. For you means whom? Primary dealers. At least 10% you have to bid. Now we have learned another thing. Now who can be participate at this auction? Primary auction, primary dealers only. But if you are a general public or you can have more than 5 million rupees, you can ask one of these primary dealers to put your bids on behalf of you. So right. So then once you put bids, then they actually evaluate a primary department. They will select the lowest and they will accept. Then you will be notified whether your bids are successful or no. So same day they will, and your settlement has to be done after 2 days time. So basically, if it is Wednesday auction, then you have to make the payment on Friday. Explain the methods that an investor can use to invest in government securities. Explain the method that an investor can use. Same thing we discussed this. So the investor, of course, cannot participate at this primary auction, but they have to purchase treasury bill, treasury bond from where? Secondary market, from these primary dealers. Or otherwise, the alternative they can use, if it is more than 5 million rupees, through these primary dealers, participate at their bid. What is meant by explain the methods? So the either primary market, either secondary, both. But primary market for whom generally? Primary dealers. Investor can participate. Yes. How? If you have more than 5 million rupees, you can ask one of these primary dealers to put on behalf of your bid. What is meant by the yield curve of government securities? We have learned this. What is meant by yield curve? In your exam has not tested this question. Right? Yield curve. Yield curve is basically you draw based on the treasury bill, treasury bond rates, yield rates, particular day. So then we have learned 4 types of yield curves. Right? So the increasing trend. Then you will know, you can take decision whether your instrument, when you are issuing an instrument, you will be fixed. So basically you will be issuing this particular instrument at fixed rate or variable. How do you take this decision? Based on this yield curve. Based on this yield curve only you decide. Based on the yield curve only you decide, is it going to be fixed rate or is it going to be floating rate? So we have learned 4 types of. So what is the shape of the recent yield curve reported in financial media? What is the importance of this yield curve to the debt security market? So recent yield curve is what? Recent yield curve is this. The decreasing trend of yield curve. So treasury bill, treasury bond rates are coming down. So these rates are coming down. So generally we are having a downward trend of treasury bill rates, right? Downward trends of treasury bill. And the exam asks you what is the importance of yield curve. Same thing I have discussed. The yield curve, based on the yield curve you can decide whether you will be issuing particular instrument at fixed or float. You can take that decision. If you have a yield curve like this, do you issue a particular instrument at fixed or variable? So you will be issuing your instrument at fixed or variable if you have a present yield curve is like this. Present yield curve is like this. So the interest rates coming down. So why do you want to issue fixed? Why don't you issue fixed? You will basically go for variable. You will basically go for the variable issuer side. Think from the investor side. Now see, now when you are working in the bank, so the people are asking fixed rate or floating rate. People are asking fixed rate. Why? They'll have to pay. So they think that it is better. This is the lowest regime of interest rate. Lowest regime. So they think at least I should block my money 5 years. Why? They'll have to pay. They think that it is better to fix it for 5 years. But generally, now you here also you will also have to pay. Why? This is your interest income, but you go for variable. Why? Yield curve is this. There is a tendency to come down further. Why they go by fixed? අවුරුදු 5ක loan එක ගත්තොත් අවුරුදු 3කට පස්සේ rate එක උඩ ගියොත් එහෙම they are not worried about. Why? It's fixed. Fixed. But generally we think when you have a yield curve like this, tendency is to come down further. There can be a hike, but so still we believe that in the future, otherwise now when you don't have the low regime of interest, people won't borrow for the lending purposes. Then you should have decreasing trend of yield curve. So the cost of the loan is low. Cost of the borrowing becoming low. So then people tend to borrow and invest in development purpose. So that's the expectation of bringing down the interest rate. Bringing down the interest rate. But see, now we have discussed, remember that when you have a lower regime of interest, low interest rate scenario, it is badly impacted to whom? Foreign exchange. Why? Foreigners are not willing to invest at low interest rate. So they are coming for yield. But if the yield has come down, they don't come to Sri Lanka to invest. And the government has recently introduced for the foreign investors who are willing to invest in government securities, SOP mechanism. Remember? You must have heard this. So why? Now say now today you bought $1 to Sri Lanka. You are a foreign investor. You bought $1. Now you will be converting at 185. Why you want to convert? You want to invest in treasury bond, example. So treasury bonds are in rupee terms. Then you need to convert into rupees. So you will be converting at 185. $1 you bought. You go to a bank and ask the rate 185. So then you will be investing in this 185 in a treasury bond. After 5 years, you will be receiving 190 with the interest and everything. Say yield. Now this is in rupees LKR, but you need to convert this into take it back to your country. Then you go and check the market, and rupee has depreciated to 190 rupees. Because the exchange then 190 with the depreciation of rupee. So how much you convert into dollars? You will be getting same dollar, 1 rupee. How much you brought to Sri Lanka 5 years ago? $1. And again after 5 years time you will be taking back to your country same $1. So then the depreciation is a badly impact to forex risk. So this is a bad thing for the foreign investor to come to Sri Lanka like this. So then you should have stabilized exchange rate. Government has introduced a zero SOP mechanism. So basically you converted that 185. After 5 years time, again you will be converted at 185. So there is no foreign exchange risk. But there is slight difference. They are 185 now. It's not at the same, but make a 0.1% add kala thamai karane. Again 185 වලට 0.1% add kala karane. රුපියලක්වත් නැහැ 0.1%. again 0.1% තමයි add කරන්නේ. So there's a slight depreciation only charge. So basically 185, 185, 185, 185 like that, right? So there is a slight depreciation only. 1 rupee was, right? Like that. So it's beneficial for the country and the foreign investor, and there is a threshold limit. The minimum is $25 million, right? Minimum investor has to bring $25 million minimum. 25 million. Maximum $1 billion. Right? So then only you have this zero sum. We call it zero sum. There is no the foreign the investor is not under the forex risk. Not under the forex risk. Now we have learned the SDF and SLF, right? There was a question in this particular paper, 2016 March. Question number 5. What do you mean by SDF and SLF? Let me know. Question number 6. List down two benefits to an unlisted company in obtaining listing in the Colombo Stock Exchange. Shall we write down the question? There's a lot of conversation going on the share market. So what is the benefit being listed in the share market? So what is the benefits you to be listed in the share market? The first one is access to more capital. Access to more capital sources. So when you have a listed company, you can have access more rather than going for a private. Private, you invited to few people. But if it is IPO and all listing company, you have more. Right? So access, then you have easy to source low cost borrowing. Due to reduction in risk of the company. So there is no much risk. There is no much risk in this particular company. Why? Everything is transparent. So everything is transparent. So then you don't have much risk in this particular company. Why? Everything is transparent. You disclose everything. So the list down two benefits of an unlisted company being listed. So then you can have next one is a more corporate governance principle and more transparent principle are applied. So you are more transparent. So those are the things, right? Question number 7. Now see, outline two methods in which securities can be listed in the Columbus Exchange. So this now see this question. What are the methods we have learned? One thing is IPO. The other one is what? If you don't want to raise capital but you want to be listed, then you have the introduction. So the IPO and the introduction is the now examiner can ask you many ways, but the same question, same answer, it's coming, right? Explain the eligibility condition to be met by a company to be listed, that we have learned. And also remember here the examiner test you main board, but I have given you the list MCP board and Dirisavi board as well, right? What is the minimum tenor for debt security to be listed? In the now, you know, listed debentures also can be having this particular share market. So we have separate this called DEX. So minimum 2 years. Generally we have 5 years next debenture minimum 2 years to be listed, right? List down 5 key information items that should be included in the announcement to be made by the board of directors of a listed entity deciding to go for a right issue. Right issue information. So we know what right issue is. Existing shareholders at a discounted price. Why you are giving right issue? To raise funds. You don't want to dilute your shareholding. You don't want to dilute your shareholding. So generally you offer it to existing shareholders. So what are the information you should give before it? Number of shares. How many shares you to be issued as rights. So you should give them. And stated capital. Stated capital also should be given. What else? Number of shares, total stated capital, and the proportion 2:1, 1:2, like that. So you should give the proportion at which rate you will be receiving, you will be issuing, or you will be receiving shares new and existing. So 2:1 means 2 existing, 1 new, like that, right? So we call it after the, now when you calculate this, we call it a theoretical X right. After the right issue, what will be the price? That is theoretical X right price. We have calculated in that in the class, right? Theoretical X right value. And number of shares, then stated capital and the proportion stated capital. And also you can have the purpose of a right issue. You can have it if you want. Purpose, why do you want to raise money? Like that you can have it, right? Now question number 8. Now see the question number 8. A corporate borrows 5 billion through 5-year listed debenture issued at a fixed coupon rate. Corporate borrows rupees 5 billion through 5-year listed debenture issued at a fixed coupon rate 950 per annum payable quarterly. Fix හැම මාස 3ටම ගෙවනවා. අවුරුද්දට 9.50යි. එහෙනම් මාස 3කට කීයද? ඒ වගේ 4ක් ගෙවනවා. Right? So what would be the possible reason for the corporate not to issue floating rate debenture instead of a fixed rate debenture? Why they have not issued floating? Why they have not issued floating? So you think now you borrow. ඔයා borrow කරලා you have to make payments. What payment? Interest expense. That is your expense. So your cost. So if you pay something, you need to pay low. You need to have low expense from your side. So that's why you have issued at 950 fixed. Why you have fixed? You think what will happen in the future? Interest rate would go up. Floating කරන මොකක්ද දෙන්නේ? මොකක් හරි reference rate එකක් you need. Either treasury bill or whatever. Generally we take treasury bill, not AWPL. But when the country's interest rates are going up, treasury bill rate also going up. So what will happen? Every 6 months or whatever 3 months time, new rate comes. A new rate in a higher rate than the previous quarter. Hey, interest rates going up. So do you want to pay more? No, no need. So then you block it for 5 years. 5 years. So from the issuer side, to block it for 5 years, this is better. So why should I pay 10? I am issuing at 950. So the general yield curve tendency is to go up. So the interest rate in the future is increasing trend. So then that's why you have refrained from issuing floating. After 1 year of debenture issue, if the market interest rates are expected to increase, who faces the interest rate risk? Now we have learned several risks by investing in government securities. So only risk is not there. Which risk is not there? Counterparty risk. Although default risk is not there. But other risks are anyway there. For even at a different levels, when you invest in government securities, you have other risks. Only the counterparty risk is not there. Default risk is not there. Reinvestment risk, inflation risk, interest rate risk, liquidity risk. All these risks are there. Now, examiner ask you after 1 year, if the market interest rates are expected to increase, it's going up. Then who faces the interest rate risk? You face. You means who? Investor. I think 9.50. දිගටම 9.50. අවුරුදු 5ක් යන ගම 9.50. මට මේ interest rate උඩ යන එකේ benefit එක ගන්න බෑ. I have fixed it. I have applied fixed. So investor faces the. Explain how the corporate can use the interest rate derivative to hedge. So basically you have interest rate swap. IRS. Interest rate swap. When you have floating, you convert into fixed. When you have fixed, you convert into floating like that. So basically, it's a credit derivative swap, or otherwise, interest rate swap. I have given you under swaps, right? Not under foreign exchange. Interest rate swaps. So the last question is not relevant to you. What are the specific advantage and disadvantage of using interest rate option instead of interest rate swap. So option, so we have learned several options, remember that? Options, Bermuda option, put option, call option, Bermuda option, vanilla option, right there, several options. So interest rate swaps means what? You convert into whatever the existing to other one. Currency swaps, interest rate swaps. I have given a small note, just keep in mind. Examiner will not test in depth, right? It is not coming under your syllabus. Now, now yesterday, country was downgraded. Not yesterday, day before yesterday, country was downgraded by Moody. It was set to B2. Now, country has the credit rating of CAA1, right? Basically, CAA1 means high credit risk category. Now, we are in the high credit risk category. So when a country is downgraded, automatically other parties also downgraded. Relevant parties, government institution also downgraded. So what is the impact of being downgraded the country? So when you downgrade a country, so the foreign investments are not coming to Sri Lanka. Why? So basically you assess the default risk. So the ability to pay has come down as a country. So then you don't come to Sri Lanka to invest. So when you have less ability to pay, who comes to Sri Lanka and invest? But yesterday there was a ISB, International Sovereign Bonds, to be settled by the government. October 4th. 4th today. So they have, I think that they have successfully settled it. Government has successfully settled without reissuing. So government has not issued any ISB, International Sovereign Bonds, to settle this particular bond. They are using their own funds to settle. So they have successfully settled. There is no any default with the ISB. And when you downgrade a country, the lenders increase their cost, so that the borrowing cost for the institution in Sri Lanka is going up. Dollar borrowing cost has gone up. It's going up anyway when the downgrade. So you want to invest, but I need more return. Why? I'm not sure whether you will pay it or not. I'm sure there will be a possibility to pay, but I need more return. So that's what. So when a country is downgraded, the dollar cost of funds is anyway going up, and people won't come to Sri Lanka to invest. So there's a bad impacts only we have when a country is downgraded. But it's quite unfair, right? Now we have successfully settled this sovereign bond as well. We have never defaulted as a country. We have never defaulted as a country. We have settled these sovereign bonds, and I don't think that the government will default anything in future as well. Right?
So excuse me.
Yeah.
In that case, will the Moody's reverse their decision?
No, they won't reverse the decision. Once they have given a decision, it stands. But only thing what the government can do is they can issue a statement that this is not fair. I think government has issued a statement as well. But the Moody's rating will be existing. They won't reverse it. But only risk is, now the Fitch also can follow this. Fitch Sri Lanka also can follow this, and it was B2. Now they have not come to B3. Now they have lowered it down to degraded to CAA1. So they have 2 notches downgraded. So there is a possibility to follow the same by the Fitch as well. So when the one rating company downgraded a particular country, so other rating agency also has some concerns. So they will do it. But I think government, since the government has completely successfully settled the ISB, we'll have to see what will happen in the future. What will the actions taken by the Fitch rating and all. We'll see. And there won't be any reversal of this particular issue, because they actually give, once they are given a decision for a particular country, they have analyzed and only give. Only thing you can protest as a country. I think government has done it. Now, now the next page you have a similar question. Answer the following multiple choice question. According to the credit rating scale by Fitch rating, the highest possible rating for the entity is denoted by. The highest rating is AAA. Highest is AAA, right? There is no plus minus. So the B is the lowest default. Now see the last question of that particular tute, question number 5. So question number 4, look at this question number 4. Regulation of financial market is challenging task confronted by the authorities who over and concern. What is the standard role of SCC in Sri Lanka? Now this question is not relevant to you, right? So the SCC's role is basically coming under financial market operation. So it's not relevant to you. So generally, what is the role? What is their role? Now Security Exchange Commission is above CSC. SCC, Security Exchange Commission. Then you have CSC, Colombo Stock Exchange. So basically, this is the apex body who provide guidance, who provide regulations, countries' equity market. That is their role, giving instruction, giving regulations and to the CSC and the government for the betterment of capital markets. Now see the second question, insider dealing. What do you mean by insider dealing? Insider dealing is prohibited in Sri Lanka. It's a criminal offense, giving price sensitive, undisclosed information. You can write it down, giving price, examiner tested the insider dealing for 5 marks, giving or acting on price sensitive, undisclosed information. Price sensitive, undisclosed information. Why now? Generally now directors get the price sensitive, undisclosed information, then they actually, based on that, they buy shares like that. So it is criminal offense. අතර shares උඩ මිනිස්සුත් අපල ගන්න බලනවා ඊට පස්සේ මොකද කරන්නේ director sell කරනවා යාගේ shares ටික උඩින්. So which is prohibited. What is meant by short selling? You sell which you don't have. You sell which you don't have, thinking that you can purchase later. That's short selling. Bond markets, this is very much wider practice in foreign countries. Short selling. You sell it now, thinking that you can take it later. So how can you sell without you having something? That's the beauty of this, short selling. Short sellings are not allowed in Sri Lanka. Sell something without having. So then how do you sell? You can sell it, but later thinking that you can purchase at a lower rate. So it's happening in other countries, it's happening, right? Short sellings are allowed in India as well. Regulation part is not necessary. See the question now, last question. Now, what are the major differences between treasury bill and treasury bond in Sri Lanka that you know? Government securities are traditionally considered as risk-free investment. Do you agree? Yes. Traditionally considered as risk-free investment. Do you agree? Yes, but, or you can say no, only the counterparty risk is not there, but other risks are there. Whatever, but you need the justification why you say so. So generally, government securities, it's a risk-free. Remember that when you calculate the CAPM, capital asset pricing model, we take risk-free rate as what? Treasury bill, treasury bond rate. Generally, we treat as treasury bill, treasury bond rate risk-free, but you know other risks are also involved. Now here the examiner asks you, traditionally, yes. What are the importance of yield curve? Same thing. Ne? If the central bank increases the policy rate, what would be the impact of government securities? Now see, now the central bank has decreased the policy rate. Policy rate means what? SDF and SLF. When the policy rate comes down, other interest instruments, interest rates also coming down. It's coming down. So when if the central bank increases policy rates, what would be the impact on government securities? What would be the impact? We have learned this relationship between price and the yield, remember? So we have learned this, when the price goes up, yield should come down. It is negative. It's negative relationship between price and the yield of government securities. So when the price comes down, when the yield comes down, price should go up. Benefited or not, investors are benefited. You can sell at high. You can sell at high. This one, question number 5. Explain the role of SPV in the securitization process. And list 2 other parties involved in securitization process and briefly explain their roles. Explain the process of tranching and how cash flows are distributed among different tranches. So the first 2 questions. Explain the role in the SPV in the securitization process. Now, SPV is what? It's a separate legal entity. So all the assets will be transferred to this hypothetical virtual company. So everything is processed in SPV. So when you remember that when you have this securitization process, you create SPV, the virtual company, you transfer all these into assets into particular SPV, and you later you structure from it and you ask investors to invest. So basically structuring part is happening in this SPV, right? That is important. So the list 2 other parties. Now, who are the parties involving in this securitization process? One is arranger, remember? And we have then originator and financial guarantees also there. Financial guarantees also there, right? So the asset manager, and we have learned originator, remember arranger. Then we had the credit rating agencies. Also we have learned. Now what I want to highlight is this. Now this is possible question in exam this time. Right? Now when you analyze the previous papers, this has not been tested for last 2 sessions. So there's a high chance of testing and go through this particular note which I have given to you. That is important note I have given to you on securitization. It's a very small tude. Please by heart that no, right? It is important. Only thing you have to keep the process and the SPVs under one scenario there. Process and the people who are involving this particular securitization process, right? And also I have given you some note on mergers and acquisition. Mergers and acquisition. Merger is basically you get together with the existing companies. So then you get together, merge. Basically you merge. You have A and B. So basically you merge and create C. There is merge. So you don't have then A and B separately. But when you acquire, A acquires B means both the companies are existing. Acquisition. Right? Both the companies are existing. So one is going to be parent, one is going to be subsidiary. Right? And I have given you subsidiary, the meaning of subsidiary, and associate and normal investments as well, right? Mandatory offer 30% more than if it is more than 30%, mandatory offer. Now there was another question: why treasury bills are said to be zero coupon instrument? 2-mark question: why treasury bills are zero coupon? There is no coupon; it's a discounted instrument. Interest is paid up front, so there is no coupon. Everything will finish within 1 year. You don't want to pay any coupon for this, right? And list down 2 money market instrument that we have learned. Those are the possible question I'm reading to you, right? And later also watch this video and you realize it. And also we have learned, this is not much relevant, 2 types of risk: systematic and unsystematic. Systematic risk cannot be avoided fully, but unsystematic risk can be avoided through diversification. Please keep in that mind. Insider dealing we have done. Insider dealing, front running also similar type of possible question. Front running, basically you as a broker, you purchase first, then you sell it to your customer or the client. So which is prohibited. Frontline, those are malpractices done by the brokers in relation to stock market. Malpractices, right? Malpractices, not ethical practices. So the boards we have learned, now there's a question. There are a few parties who are involved in a securitization process. Identify who is not a party in securitization process. Originator is a party. SPV is a party. Borrower not a party. Credit rating agency is a party. So that can be have a 2-mark question. Now, can you write down this question, please? An investor, I think it's not available in your sheet. An investor placed an order with his broker to buy 1,000 shares of ABC company immediately at the market price. At the market price. The type of order is called, first, fill or kill order. Second, market order. Third, limit order. Fourth, good till cancel order. Now, what do you mean by fill or kill order? Fill or kill means what? ඔයා order එකක් දෙනවා ගන්න කියලා 1000ක් shares. ඔයා ගන්නවා මේ price එකට, එතනින් එහාට ඉවරයි. අපි කියමු 1000න් වට හම්බුනේ 200යි. Then you don't have you should not continue with the order. So the broker cannot continue with the order. And මට දීලා තියෙනවා 1000ක් ගන්න කියලා, then I have received 200, so I have to purchase balance 800 මම මේ price එක එනකන් 800 ගන්නවද? No, you can't continue with that order. That is fill or kill. වැදුනා ඉවරයි. Fill or kill, right? Those are the jargon used in the stock brokering. Market order, this is the market order. Broker to buy 1,000 stocks, market price, that is market order. Limit order means you given a limit to purchase. Limit එකක් දෙනවා broker ට ගන්න කියලා. මේක තමයි මගේ limit එක. මේකට එනකන් ඔයා ගන්න. Number of shares. And good till cancel, we call it GTC. GTC orders කියලා කියනවා. Good till cancel. කියනකන් නවත්තන්න එපා. එතකන් ගන්න. Good till cancel. Right? Those are the jargon they are using by. And also I have given you some investor ratios. Remember that price earning ratio, which is more important. Price earning ratio is what? The how long will take for you to recover your investment. Price earning ratio. Then we have learned dividend yield methods, dividend yield ratios. Then I have given some forward P ratio. Then how do you decide in the future whether this investment should be made or not? So you can decide it by using the forward P ratio. So P ratio is the screening ratio in the first ratio, whether your investment is done or not. And if you have more PU ratio, you should not purchase. You should select the low PE ratio, right? How do you find out the PE ratio? So market price divided by EPS. Market price divided by EPS. EPS is earning per share. How much? The profit relevant to the the real shareholders. Profit after tax divided by number of ordinary shareholders. Risk averse investor and risk taker investors, we have learned that take a risk. Zero coupon instrument that we have learned. Can you write down this question as well? A payback period in which expected cash flows are discounted. Payback period in which expected cash flows are discounted with the help of project cost of capital. Payback period in which expected cash flows are discounted with the help of project cost of capital is classified as? First, discounted payback period. Second, discounted rate of return. Third, discounted cash flow. Fourth, discounted project cost. What is the answer? So how do you discount the cash flows and find out the payback period? It's a discounted payback period. Remember that when you calculate, when you're doing the project appraisal, all these cash flows are bringing into today's term, year zero. Then you do the discounting. You do the discount. Basically, it's a discounted payback period. Examiner asks you payback period in which discounted the cash flows are there. So then it's discounted payback. Now I have taken this from Financial Management 2019 September, which is the latest paper. It's a financial management only, right? There are some relevant questions as well. And also this question, type of option that can be exercised only at the expiration of classified. Only at the expiration. We have learned this. Only at the expiration. In a coming down, you have to. The answer is European option, right? European option only, you have to wait until it expires. So American options, you can exercise at any time. When the strike price is hit, you can exercise. Strike price is hit when they exercise, right? So, right. Any question you have? So I think we have done fairly okay with you all. And only request is, yeah. My request is to go through all the notes which I have given to you. If you have missed anything, please borrow, and it's available on the, I think it's available on the YouTube link also given. Go through all the notes which I have given to you. It is more important. I have summarized and everything given to you. Only thing I have to upload this read. I have a small note. Otherwise, I will upload the full article. It won't take much time. At least you will have to take 5 minutes time to read. Then there will be a possible question. Because I think this read came into the market, I think, before finalizing your examination paper. So this is the latest. So we have, this is the latest we have. So expected to, at least if it is 2 mark questions, so you can answer that. So any question you have, I think you will have a revision class. I have not exactly remember the date, but just check with that. You will be covering the same questions and some new questions as well. But I have completed the syllabus and fair number of questions, possible questions with you all. If you have any question, please send me an email, and also you can call me to avoid the doubts. Don't keep any doubts before you clear the doubts before you go to the exam. Don't go to the exam with doubts and all. Clear it and go. It's a very easy subject for you to pass. Just go through the past papers and everything, so you can pass this exam easily. 4 to 6 marks gettable. Very much. Any question you have at the moment?
Sir, will you be able to check the chat box, please?
Which one you are referring to? So, similar yield question is there in the question is a 5-year bond has a face value of 100, pays a coupon ₹6 2 times a day. If the today's market value is 194, calculate the current deal. So what do you do? Now this 6 is annual, 6 is semi-annual, right? Coupon of ₹6 2 times. ₹6 is 2 times. 100 and pays a coupon of ₹6 2 times. 6 gaani deparak given. So the annually how much you pay? It's 12. 12 divided by what? 94. Why you answer you don't get the answer? It's 12.76.
Yes, I get 12.76, but the answer given in the paper is different.
There are only suggested answers. Don't worry about that. So how they taken 6 divided by 94?
Yeah, so then only you get a close answer to that.
Yeah, it can't be right now. And we have to take always annual. Yield is always per annum. Now, if you say now 3 months treasury bill rate, it is not 3 months, but it's annual. But you're paying interest for 3 months. It's annual interest rate anyway. So basically, you have to take the annual. How much annual? Now, if you ask to calculate the AER, AER means annualized effective rate. So annual. Even if you pay for 3 months, it should be annual. So annually, how much you pay? Annual coupon then divided by market rate. Now we have we have done this question, similar question. They have given the par value as par value equal to the market value. So then we take the market value as par. Now here market value is given, and you have to take 6 coupon. ₹6 is semi-annual. 100 pays a coupon of 6 2 times a day, 2 times a year. Any question you have? Now also I just wanted to remind you, just go through the foreign exchange part as well. Foreign exchange part, not much, but since we have done in this class, there may be some question on this question, but I don't think examiner will test you, since we are working in the investment banking divisions. But when the foreigner comes to Sri Lanka, how this investments happening? Remember that we just did it conversion into rupees and again conversion like that. Just keep in mind, we have done this in the class. Securitization process is possible this time. Examiner has quite some time not tested. And mergers and acquisition, there is a possible question. And not tested anything about bond calculation. I don't know whether they will test it, but bond calculation tested. The treasury bill calculation has not tested so far. It's straightforward. Only thing you have to keep in mind the formula. That's all. So keep in mind. That's all. Theory part they will not test. What else? Any gray areas?
So one question with regard to the treasury bill auction last week, it was undersubscribed.
Yes.
So in that case, how does the government borrow money to fulfill its needs?
Generally, now government is taking money. This is one of the method they are using to take money from the public for their rupee expenses. Treasury bill is the one of instrument. Now after that they have issued a treasury bond, which is not pre-scheduled. They have issued a treasury bond, so they have raised money out of that, and also they are using 2 state banks for their funding requirements. So they borrow from banks, especially from state bank, 2 state banks, and plus they have another auction method, treasury bond. And they have after that, why they have actually not taken whole thing? Because people think that interest rate will go up. Why the government has more expenditure? Foreigners are not coming to Sri Lanka, then the expenses have gone up, so they need more expenditure. Foreigners are then government treasury bill, treasury bond rate should go up. So then there is a tendency to go up the interest rate. So all these things coming into the primary dealer's mind. So they think that the interest rate will go up. Then they put it at higher. But actually, the government stand is not to increase the interest rate. So then they have not taken whatever the unnecessary higher bids. They have another option to go for treasury bond. They have undefined or the what do you call not pre-arranged treasury bond option help. So they raise money out of that. And there are many methods to earn from state banks also. They can earn money. They can raise money. Shalinka, are you clear on this question?
Yes, sir.
Always take the market value plus the annually how much you pay. Out of that, how much you pay. That's all. That is the yield you calculate. Right? Any question you have? So have you all studied or have you completed studying?
Just started.
Started, okay. So start it. Once you get any areas, just get it clarified, right? So then I think that I will finish the class today. And if you have any doubts, please let us know. So I will always there for you to help. Right? Don't worry about. I know that the difficulty you face when you're working on this online, because we don't have physically movement. I can't see anything. So it's very difficult for me as well. I know that it's very difficult for you as well. Learning and teaching online, difficult. So we actually are not used to this, but what to do? We'll have to. So then all the very best for your exam. Don't worry about the exam. Just go through the notes which we have given to you, and you can pass the exam easily. I don't think that this time examiner will have a tough exam paper, right? Everybody faced difficulties, and March also they didn't have exam. Now the both exams are, I think it's together. So all the very best for your exam. Any areas you feel difficult, please let us know. We will explain it to you, right? All the very best. Thank you very much for students. All the very best at the exam, right?